Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Samech Amid Beis. On Samech Amid Beis, we saw a Mishnah that if a man says to a woman, "You're mekudeshes to me that I have 200 zuz," he gives her the 200 zuz. That he shows the 200 zuz, and so on and so forth. So we're going to have the same Mishnah, but with land. Now, a base core is approximately 75,000 square amas. That's the amount of land you can plant. You can plant a core of soirim. Amanashi base core offer. So it's about, the article said between 4 and 7.5 acres. It's a large area, 4 and 7.5 acres, depending upon what an amma is, whether it's 18 inches or 24 inches to the amma. And that's provided he has the base core. Amanas that I have a base core in LA. If he has in LA mikudeshes, and if he has in San Diego, ain't a mikudeshes. Amanas erech base core offer. Amanas your mikudeshes to me. Amanas that I'll show you a base core offer. Harizim mikudeshes v'yirena. Then hera bebika ain't a mikudeshes. If he shows her in a valley, it's not mikudeshes because it's not clearly that wide it belongs to him. Okay. Fred the Gemara. It's mashma that we said yesterday. You need eidim that you had 200 zuz. So also here you didn't need eidim that he has what? That he has a base core. Fred the Gemara even if you don't have eidim on a vadai, maybe he does have. So how can you tell me ain't a mikudeshes? Just because you have eidim that he does have, maybe someplace else he does have. So what's your raya? The oytanya chashinan shema yeshloi. The exact same word yesterday. Let's be chayish that he does have. So why do you say that she's vadai ain't a mikudeshes? The Gemara says you're right. Loi kasha. When our Mishnah said mikudeshes is habi kedushay vadai. Kedushay vadai, if he has, she's mikudeshes vadai. If he doesn't have, meaning if you don't have eidim that he has, then habi kedushay safik, you are be kedushay safik because maybe he has and we don't know about it. But we have to be chayish for it, and therefore we have to be chayish for the kedushin. So it's kedushay safik. So the Mishnah, when it says mikudeshes, is where you have eidim that he has a base core. If you don't have eidim, it's mikudeshes ve'ena mikudeshes. It's in a suffix. Why? Because maybe he has and we don't know about it. Now, why do you need to tell me the same Mishnah? Again, it's the exact same dialogue. The only chilik was it 200 zuz or was it a base core offer? Says Matzricha. Diashmin and Gabi Zuze Mishum Davidi inish the Matzliya. Aval ara emai dislay ara kala islay, and therefore what your vadai not mikudeshes. In other words, good. There's no edus that he has 200 zuz, but people generally, I don't know if anyone does this. They put money away somewhere that that for a rainy day and no one knows about it. So therefore, it's a very, very, even though we don't have 200 zuz, it's gan shayich that somewhere else he has that 200 zuz, and therefore will be chayish for the kedushin. Masha'en came by a piece of land where you have a kol goes out. Oh, this guy owns this house, right? He owns this piece of karka, and therefore, if he would have owned another one, we know about it. And the mela maybe ain't a mikudeshes bechlal because he would have another piece of land that we would have known about it. Kemash malan, even land, a person, we don't know everything. A person can own something somewhere else, and therefore you will be chayish for the kedushin. Kemash malan. What's the chiddush? Mother tema amalah my nafkamina anot tarchana masina. In other words, she's your base core in LA. Goes, oh no, but it turns out they have a base core in San Diego. So he says, though, my nafkal chamina, we're going to live in LA. I'll be matriach. I'll truck up the stuff from San Diego. Kamash Malon, that what she is makbid and therefore the in mukadeshes. Almanash erech basic core offer to Anna. We learned to the Tosefta. The reason why? She doesn't want to see a base core offer. She wants to see his base core offer. She doesn't want to see a base core. She wants to see his base core. So the fact that he showed himself doesn't mean anything. Surah, he's an aris, just like the Gemara before was speaking about a shulchani, and the shulchani had a piece of the action. Well, here he's a sharecropper, and therefore he has a piece of the action. And therefore, nonetheless, since it's not his land, she is not mikudeshes. She wants that land. Okay. The next piece of Gemara is goes off tangentially. Now we know there's a special halacha like this, that if a person's magdish his field, when Yovel is noig, in the time of Yovel, if you magdish your field, no matter the quality of the field, as a base core is going to go for 50 shekel kesef. No matter what the quality is, we don't go according to its value. We have a set amount. So whatever base core is going to go for 50, and depending upon the land, let's say, so if you go ahead and magdish it in the year 1, every year, if you pay it in year 10, it's going to be 40. Year 20, it's going to be 30. You're going to go ahead and deduct from that 50, but that's a set amount. You don't go according to its value. That's Bisman Yovel's Noyeg. Okay. When Yovel's not Noyeg, then you're going to go ahead and go according to its value. So Tanan, Hamagdish Sadeu, someone is Magdish. This is not Kidushin, fellas. This is a person who is Magdish. He makes Kodesh. Sadeu his field. Bishas HaYovel. Doesn't mean in the Yovel year. It means when Yovel is Noyeg. In other words, so it's once you say Yovel is Noyeg, that's tantamount to saying we're going to be you going with the cheshbin of 50 shkalim. Good. Noising bezerah chayim 50 shekel kesef. Right, to be paid it, you're going to have to give what? You're going to have to give for every chayim, for every base core that's complete soirim 50 shekel kesef. Now you're going ahead and we want to know the measurement of the land. If you have clefts of land that are deep 10 tfachim, or saloyim rocks that are 10 tfachim high, you're not going to go ahead and say it's part of the cheshbon. They're going to be a separate, in other words, it's going to deduct from the area of 75,000 square amas. If it's 10 tfachim deep or 10 tfachim high, it's going to deduct. Pachas mikan, less than 10 tfachim, then they'll go into the cheshbon of the 75,000, right? Okay, so in other words, they consider part of the land. Now, you will go and make a cheshbon of the area of the rock and the area of the cleft based upon its value. It's not going to be counted into what? The cheshbon of 75,000. So in other words, I have 72,000 and I have 3,000 amas of rocks and clefts. So you're going to go ahead and to get to 72, you'll need another 3,000 of land. And I'll go ahead and say, what's the value of 3,000 worth of clefts and rocks? Good. That's the kasha. That's the mitzias. The Gemara asks the kasha the following: why don't I just go ahead and look throughout this vast piece of land and see if I can go and accumulate rocks and clefts of 75,000, and then you would pay based upon 50 shekel kesef. So in other words, right now I have one din in the land. I have a separate din in the clefts and rock. And the clefts and rock is a din of value, according to its value. For the Gemara, I didn't get to the question yet, I'm foreshadowing you the question. The Gemara is asking, why don't I make the same cheshbon based upon them? Now, what would the difference be? If it's a kasha. So if this is going to be based upon that, and this is going to be based upon that, so just put it together, right? And the answer is, Rashi says in not so clear in Rashi, at least to me it wasn't so clear, the following. In a cleft, you can only plant on the bottom of the cleft. Let's say here, right? You can only plant over here. The sides, you can't plant them. So if this would be part of the original cheshbon with the rest of the land, you would include the sides. If, however, you're going to go include them separately, then it's only the bottom area that you'd start measuring. Why? Because you need a basis surya, zera chaimer, you can't plant there. That would be the nafkamina. Okay? So says the Gemara the following. Pachas mikan, less than 10, nivdadamima, they be counted. Vavinamba. Nehida bahade arulekachi, good, the clefts and the rocks are not kodesh to the cheshbon of 50 shekel with the other land, but nikachu, and they go according to their value. This is Rashi. And they go according to their value. The other Rishonim would disagree. They don't have no value at all. Nikdeshu b'ampi nafshayu. Let them be kodesh in the cheshbon of 50 by themselves, and you'll add them up. V'chitema. Now, I think it doesn't mean you need to get to 75 to add up. I think, as you would deduct. It's a 2/3, it's 2/3 of that, you take 2/3 of that. You make the adjustment in the area. You won't go according to the value, fellas. In other words, I don't need 75,000 for the chalois to be there. I think I said earlier you would have to add up to that area. No, just go ahead. You make the deduct based upon that. That you would deduct. If let's say you have half, 35, so it would be 25. You make a deduction. The chitema kama delehave base core like chashiv. And if you're going to say that the whole time it doesn't add up to the amount, it's not chashiv. I just explained this to you, right, guys? If you're going to say that you have to get to a base core in order to make the cheshbon, and you'll never get to this cheshbon based upon rocks and clefts, or remember, I'll show you that it's not true because the pasuk says, the im mistayachuzasai yagdish ish lashem. If a person's magdish istayachuzah, v'yerkachol if he's zera, and the worth will be according to the amount of you can plant. Chaymes kechamishim shekel kesef. Now, why does it have to say sidei? Right? Why does it have to say? Why does it have to say mistay achuzasai? Why does it have to say stay from the mistay? It could have said the ime achuzasai. Now, guys, when you say achuza, what do you mean? You mean sada, right? The land, achuza, your inheritance. So inheritance can't be metaltal, and it means over here it means stay. So the word stay is extra. So now, what does that come to teach me? Continuing in the Gemara, stay. Only if you go ahead and magdish that amount of land, 75,000. That's half that amount. The chatzi lesech and half of a core. A targiv, 2 side. The chatzi targiv. Vafilu 2 kavim. Excuse me, 2 kavim. Chatzi kav. Vafilu roiva minayin. How do you know they'd all go? Even though the less of amount of 75,000, you would go according to the cheshbon of 50. So l'chayra Gemara's asking kasha. Okay, let's go through it again, just to set the stage. Person's magdash's field. You go ahead and you're going in nimdam the field. How much are you going to go according to the cheshbon of 50? 50 per 75. If you have sloyim, a rock, and you have karka that has cliffs that's deep in the ground, they're not going to be part of the cheshbon. They're going to go according to their value. Fred the Gemara, why don't they get their own cheshbon? And we explained according to Rashi that if they get their own cheshbon, so what's the difference? You're being cheshbon everything. You wouldn't count the sides because you can't plant there. Says the Gemara. So we don't know yet. That's the Gemara's kasha. Why do you go after its value? Why don't you go after that? Because I know I don't need 75,000. It says stay, and even smaller amounts would go according to the cheshbon of the formula of 50. That's the kasha. And for the Gemara, I'll tell you. So they're full of water. Why does it mean? So therefore, why does that mean full of water? And therefore, you can't plant. Guys, zera, zareya, zera, chayme, right? It goes after the zera, the ability to plant. So guys, look at my hand. If it's a cleft, you can plant down here in the middle, right? If it's full of water, you can't plant at all. So therefore, you go according to its value. But einachinami. If there was no water in there, it would not go according to its value. It would go according to the cheshbon of 50. If there was no water in there, it would go according to the same formula. Good, but you just wouldn't count. If you counted the whole field, you would count the sides. If it goes according to its own cheshbon, then you wouldn't count the sides. You wouldn't count the incline. Guys, you good? So therefore, it's a nukimta. So by hegdish, you're magdish, and if you have these clefts, if they're full of water, they're going to go according to its value. If they're not full of water, they will go according to the formula of 50, but they won't include the sides. Okay, which they would have been included if you go according to the whole shetach if they're less than 10. That's the Gemara so far. That it's full of water, and therefore the lav b'nei zriyaninu. They can amidiktani dumid the slayim givayim shmamina very gishmak. You know why it's full of water, guys? You can't plant on a rock. And we're saying if it has slayim or nekayim are slayim, so it must be the nekayim. The clefts are similar to the slayim, just like slayim are not a bazriya. The rock you can't plant; it's not cultivable. No, that's not the word. Oh, something like that.
Cultivatable.
It's not cultivatable, right? So too the nekayim that's full of, it must be full of water, so it's not cultivatable. Cultivatable, cultivable. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, says the Gemara Vaita. Shmamina. Now, ihachi. If that's the case, it's full of water. Afilu pachas mikanami. Right? Even if it's less than that, it should not be counted among the larger field. Right? We're saying 10, it's by itself. If it's full of water and it's not, so even less than that, it should not be counted among the field. It says Hani Nagi the Arab Mikri. It's called the pond of the land. So it's part of the land. That's the key. Shidra the Arab Mikri. And the rocks will be considered the spine of the land if they're less than 10. In other words, they wouldn't be independent, they would go into the cheshbon. Okay, now that's regarding being magdish yastei achuza. What about machar, a person who sells the stei achuza? Base kur ani machalacha. No, this is not forget that. Forget the stei achuza. Regular sale. Base kur ani machalacha. V'hayasham nekoyim amukim asar tfachim. Oislayim gavoyim asar tfachim. Ein nimdadim ima. They're not part of the sale. Pachas mikan nimdadim ima. They are part of the sale. Even though they're not full of water, they would not be part of the sale. My timer. In other words, so if it's not full of water, what's the big deal? You can plant there. The answer is, if I have rocks here and I have holes here, it looks like two different fields. I want one big shetach of land. I don't want looking like a hakta fields. So now. So we see by what? By Hegdish, that if it's full of water, then it's part of it's separate. If it's not full of water, then it's separate by itself. We see over here, even though it's not full of water, right? Even though it's not full of we see by Hegdish, right? If you can plant there. If it's not full of water, then it goes according to a good. It's considered cultivable, and it goes according to that cheshbon of 50. But by mecher, even if it's not full of water, it does not go according to the cheshbon. Okay, I'm going to see this then by mecher. I thought I had some clarity. I don't think I was correct. What does Rashi say? No, Rashi doesn't say anything. Okay. So Rashi, what's the din by mecher? So if it's even though it's not full of water, it's not considered part of the cheshbon. Masha'en came by the other field. If it was less than 10, I guess it'd be part of the cheshbon. My time on a papa. Okay, so that's the kasha. Okay, very good, guys. Pachas mikan. We said less than that, right? No. I'm sorry. I'm 1 second. I'm gonna publish. If ain't other mitzvah, she eating this moist beside the achas. We like Krishna. Listen. Okay, here's the pshat. By Hegdish, if it wasn't full of water, we would count it with the field, right? If it wasn't full of water, we would count it. Why? We would count it according to the cheshbon because it's cultivatable. Masha'en came by mecher, even though it's cultivatable, we would not. It doesn't go part of the sale. It's not part of the cheshbon because the person doesn't want two separate fields. The question is by mekadesh and isha, do we compare it to hegdish? And let's say she's mekadesh with a base kur offer, and do we compare it to hegdish and we would count those areas as long as there's no full of water? Or do we compare it to mecher and she doesn't want like two separate fields? That's the kasha. Says the Gemara. So let's say it one more time. Base kur ofani ma'ichlacha v'hayisham nekoyim amukim asar tfachim v'yislayim gavoyim asar tfachim. You have a cleft that's 10. You have a rock that's 10. Einim danim ima. They don't count. Pachas mikan, then they count. V'amar ukva afal pisha ein malei mayim. Even if they're not full of water and they're cultivatable, nonetheless, what? They don't count. My time, why don't they count? He doesn't put it one. He's going to have to go ahead and he's going to have to plow over here, plow over there, in the middle, stop. He doesn't want that. So therefore, Good, it's possible to plant stuff there, but that's not his cheshbon. Mashenke by hegdish, it would be chal. Hachamai by Kidushin, what's the din? The hegdish midamin Allah, and you count the whole field toward the cheshbon of base core. I'll be mekadosh you that I have a base core. So if you have pits that are 10 deep or rocks that are 10 high, and there's no water, would they count towards the cheshbon of the base core and the tanai is fulfilled? And the tanai is not fulfilled. Guys, good? Guys, we have it good now. Those are two tzadim, right? Like hegdish, it would be part of the base core. Like mecher, it would not be part of the base core. How do we compare a woman that accepts Kidushin to hegdish and therefore she would be mekudeshes, or to mecher and therefore she would not be mekudeshes, right? Mistaber lehegdish midamin Allah, that she would compare it to hegdish and she would mekudeshes. The Amallah, the woman, the mekadesh says to the woman, "Anot terachne v'zarana umaysina." What are you worried about? You're worried about that there's different spots. I'm doing the work. I'll bring you the food, and don't worry. And therefore, she would be mikudeshes. Therefore, she would be mikudeshes. Okay, one of the more famous sugyas in Shas that we're familiar with. B'nai Ruvain, they come, they capture Ever Yarden, and they say they have a lot of flocks. So B'nai Gad and B'nai Ruvain, they come with the following, right? We want to go and we want to settle here and not go to Eretz Yisrael. Vayom Moshe Aleim, Im Yavru B'nai Gad and B'nai Ruvain itchem es hayarden. If they go across the Yarden, Kol Chulitz l'Milchama, they'll be in the forefront. Kol Chulitz l'Milchama l'fnei Hashem, v'nichbasha Aretz l'fneichem. And the land is captured in front of you. We will give them Ever Yarden, known as Eretz Gilad, as their what? As the stay achusa. And if they do not go ahead and pass over, chalutzim in the forefront, itchem with you, and we will go ahead and be achaz among you in Eretz Canaan. That's it. So now, you see over here, you need what's called the Tanai Kafel. Im Yavru, Im Lo Yavru. If you go over, if you don't go over. That's one din you see. You see other dinim. You need a Tanai Koidin Demaisa, right? The Tanai Im Yavru. If you go first, go over, that's the Tanai. Then you'll Nusatim, you'll get the land. And you also Hein Koidin Lulav. You need the positive before the negative. Im Yavru is the positive, Im Lo Yavru is the negative. So 3 dinim we learn out: Tanai Kafel, Tanai Koidin Lamaisa, and Hein Koidin Lulav. Those are the. So we're familiar with Tanai Kafel. Just be aware, the Rambam in Perek Vav Mehilchas Ishus, he says you need a Tanai Kafel if you use the lashon of im. If you use the word al menas, right, which is lashon of Tanai, you don't need Tanai Kafel. Just for we see it all the time, right? Halachically says if you use the word im, you need to be kafel the Tanai. If you say al menas, right? This is your get al menas. I give you 200. You give me 200 zuz, and this is not. And if you don't give me 200 zuz, this is not your get. You don't have to say that because you said al menas. Okay, so that's the sugya. That's the sugya over here. Now, there's going to be a machloikus in the Gemara, guys. There'll be a machloikus in the Mishnah between Reb Meir and Reb Chanina, and then Chanina ben Gamliel. Reb Meir uses this for Tanai Kafel. Listen to this. Here's Reb Chanina learns Pshat. Vayom Moshe Aleim, Im Yavu b'nei Gad mei Ruven echos hayarden, kol cholos of Milchama v'nei Hashem, v'nichvash ha'aretz l'fneichem, v'nesatem lehem es eretz agil lahuza. Now, guys, if you'd stop right here and now. I hope I'm saying share. I should be finished in about a half hour. Fellas, what happens if you'd stop over here and not say the second part, not Pasuk Lamed? If you go and fight in Eretz Yisrael, you'll get in Eretz Gilad, Ba'chuza. And what happens if you don't fight? You'll get nothing, right? So maybe the reason why it says V'lo yavu cholutzim etchem v'nachsu b'soichechem, it's here to tell me that you're going to get among us. Says Reb Chanina, you can't learn Tanai Kafel from over here. You need Pasuk Lamed to stress that don't think if you don't fight you're getting nothing. You'll get like anybody else. Rabbi Meir says, then why do you need the words Eretz Canaan? Obviously, the word Eretz Canaan is extra to teach me need Tanai Kafel. So that's the pasuk. It's a nice diuk over here. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Meir Oimer, says the Mishnah. Kol Tanai she'ena Katai b'nei Gad b'nei Ruvain ain't a Tanai, and therefore it would not be a Tanai. We say Tanai batul l'maisa kayim. Shneimar vayomer aleim im yavru b'nei Gad b'nei Ruvain u'kasiv lo yavaru chalutzim. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel Oimer, no. You had to say im lo yavaru, right? Shel malei kain yesh b'mashma shafil beretz kanan lo yinchol. You won't get anything, right? That's why it was necessary. You won't get anything. Guys, you good? It was the sort of pasuk in front of you. Again, one more time, guys. One more time. Rabbi is learning the following. And now he doubles down. Says Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, 1 second. If you wouldn't say this and just this, they'd get nothing. Right? If you go and fight, you'll get something. And if you don't fight, you'll get nothing. So you need to tell me, and if you don't fight, you'll get something. That's what you need to tell me. So not they tell me it's Tanai Kafel. You need the pasuk to tell me, don't think you're going to lose out on everything if you don't fight. Shapik Hamalei Reb Chanina ben Gamliel L'chaira. Guys, the way I presented the pasuk in front of you, no, this doesn't appear Reb Chanina is correct. You look at the pasuk, his mamish is correct. Oh. Amalach Reb Meir, Isal Kedaitech Lav L'Tanai Kafel Udasa Lichtoi V'im Lo Yavaru V'noi Chazu B'Seichachem. In other words, stop right over here. You'll get. Why do you have to say the word Eretz Canaan? Eretz Canaan Lama. Why are you saying the word Eretz Canaan? Lama li shmami na l'tanai kafalu da'asa. Reb Chanina ben Gamliel tell you Eloi Koser Rachmana Eretz Canaan have amina v'nechsasu b'seichachem Eretz Gilad, but I won't get anything in Eretz Yisrael. In other words, fellas, guys, look at me. Let's say they wouldn't have gone in and in the forefront. Let's say they wouldn't have fulfilled it tonight. What would have happened? Bnei Yisrael would have split up Eretz Gilad. They also would have got part of Eretz Gilad, right? They fought Sichon and Og. They would have got that. The reason why you had to tell me Eretz Yisrael is a very good reason, right? Because if you wouldn't have said it, I would say Bnei Chazu B'Seichim means in Eretz Gilad. So therefore, I had let's pull it up. This is what Rabbi Chanina is tining. Rabbi Meir is tining that the word Eretz Canaan is extra. Says Rabbi Chanina, 1 second. You have to tell me Eretz Canaan, because if you didn't tell me Eretz Canaan, I would have said the following: you don't go in the front. Where in Eretz Gilad, but not you wouldn't in Eretz Gilad, you won't get anything. Therefore, you had to tell me Eretz Canaan. No, when it says when Echaz B'Seichem means in Eretz Canaan. You good? How are we doing, guys? Should be very good. You know what that means? That means I understand it. So if I understand it, it should be very good. Good? Yes. Thumbs up. Harold, you good? Okay. Now, Eretz Canaan Klaloi. For Meir B'Seichechem. Wherever you are, whether it's Eretz Canaan, whether it's Eretz Gilad, the Mela B'Seichim means every place. So Eretz Canaan is extra to teach me tonight Kafel. Good. Now we got a little Tanya, little Trey Gemara. I'm Reb Chanina, like Gamliel. Mashal Mahadav Doimer. What's the comparable this deal with Bnei Gad Bnei Ruvain? Okay, he's going to give a mashal. Let's give the nimshal. La'adam shaya mechalik nechasav lebanav. A person is divvying up his property to his children. Ama ploini b'ni yarish sada ploinis. Ploini, my son's going to get A. Uploini b'ni yarish sada ploinis is going to get B. Uploini b'ni, and my third son, yitei matayim zuz, he'll give 200 zuz. V'yiris sada ploinis, and he'll get sada ploinis. So let's go, guys. Watch. 2 sons dividing in Eretz Yisrael. A third son, if he goes ahead and fulfills the condition, he'll get field C. So A, B, and C. A and B are in Eretz Yisrael. C is in Eretz Gilad. Giving the 200 zuz is tantamount to going to fighting. Fulfill that tonight, and you'll get Eretz Canaan. So Eretz Gilad. So l'chayra, that's the mashal that Reb Chanina gives. Again, what's the mashal? Very good mashal. 3 sons. 2 of the sons are all of Klal Yisrael. The third son is Bnei Gad, Bnei Ruvain. Yeah. Now, so and the deals. two sons are dividing up Eretz Yisrael, fields A and B, and the third son uniquely has field C if there's a condition of 200 zuz, if there's a condition of fighting in Eretz Yisrael. That's the mashal. If you don't find Eretz Yisrael, Yireshim Achiv B'Shar Nechasim, then you'll get in fields where A and B. Mi Goram Loy Liyareshim Achiv B'Shar Nechasim, right? What causes him to get A and B? Is Kfeila Goram Loy. It's the Kfeila, right? Without the Kfeilis, I would have thought they'd only receive in the third land. Guys, I would say the following. You only get, like Reb Chanina, guys, you only get in Eretz Gilad, because that you helped. But in Eretz Canaan, you won't get anything at all. What helps you to get in Eretz Canaan, right? What causes you to divide with your other brothers is the kafela of the... Now, for Holidamya Mashal Masnisan, Hasam Na Mishnah Katani, Yesh B'Mashma, Shafil Beretz Canaan, Lo Yinchol. You won't get anything. And therefore, Alma Kfela Leretz Gilad Nami Mahani. In other words, in our Mishnah's Mashma, like if you don't fight, you don't get anything. So what does fighting do? That you get, not only would you get in Eretz Canaan, you get in Eretz Gilad also. But for Hacha, in the Mashal, Ketani Mi Gorim Li Yorishim Acha B'Shan Nechasim in Eretz Yisrael, Kefela Gorim Li, Alma Kefela Shan Nechasim with the Kamahani. It helps for Eretz Canaan. But Eretz Gilad, he always was going to get. It says Malay Kasha, Ha Mekami the name Malay Reb Meir B'Nichseid, the name of Rabbi Initially, what did Rabbi say? Right? He said that the Mishnah is speaking before Rabbi said v'nechazu, that you would get in Eretz. You thought you wouldn't get anywhere. He says v'nechazu you'd get in Eretz. Even if you don't fight, you'll still get in Eretz Yisrael. So before that, and he thought you wouldn't get anywhere, right? That's the Brisa. That's the Mishnah. Hold the basa, but the Bryce and the Mashal is the after he told him that, guys, even if you don't fight, you're still going to get an Eretz Gilad. So the Kefelis Haloshin helps for Eretz Canaan. Now the Gemara is going to go through, guys, different places where you needed a Tanai Kafel. So the first one is going to be this week's Parsha, Rabbi Avi Rosenzweig, by Kayin. Why does the Kodesh Baruch Hu tell Kayin? Kain is depressed, he's despondent. Kodesh Baruch Hu tells him, "Im seitiv seis, v'im lo seitiv b'chetes chadis Rabbi." So Kodesh Baruch Hu tells them both studim. Im seitiv, if you improve yourself, seis. The Gemara in Yuma says seis is one of the difficult words to teach in the Torah. It's a few reasons. There's a few pshat. Seis means, according to Ramban, you'll regain your position. Yes, seis v'yes oz. According to the Ebenezer and the Siyas Lashon being uplifted, your mood will get better, or Lashon of the Siyas, you'll be forgiven. So different shyness. The bottom line is, if you improve yourself, something will be good for you. And the key is and if you don't, the Pesach Chatas Roivates. Then what? Then Nishkut. So what do you see? You need Tanai Kafel. You could have heard, you could infer it. Says the Gemara. If you'll improve yourself, you'll get rewarded. And if you don't go ahead and improve yourself, you won't get rewarded, but you won't get punished either. Therefore, Kamash Malon, Kodesh Baruch Hu says, no, it's going to take you down to your grave. He's telling Kain. No, it's not for the Tanai Kafel. Without him saying it, you would know something. You'd say the following: if you do good, you'll be rewarded. If you don't do good, you won't be rewarded. No, it's more than you won't be rewarded. You're going to get gestrafen, right? What does Benji tell everyone what gestrafen means? It means you'll be a Met fan, a Jet fan. It means you'll be. Bishleim Rav Meir Hainu D'chsiv by Avram Avinu, guys. Let's state by Avram. What does it say by Avram sends Eliezer off to a mission to find a caliph for Yitzchak? So what does he say? If the im loisei ve'isha, if the woman doesn't want to come, lolechas achrecha v'nikisa mishvuasi, and you will be free from my shvua zois rakas b'ni loisashiv shalom. You shouldn't take my son there. Now, then it repeats as tinakim e'alasi ki savei al mishpachti v'im. So the it's repeated. Says the Gemara the following: as tinakim e'alasi bishleim Reb Meir. He had to go ahead and say, Us tinakim elasi. Ela Rabbi Chanina by Gamliel Lamali. Why do you have to go ahead and say you'll be, obviously, you can hear that if the girl doesn't want to come, then you can't be kind of shua. Says the Gemara, no. Says the Gemara, it's the I would think the following. But I would say the following. The woman to go after you, to her kroivim, Maisi should bring the Isha, Bal Korchayo against the best wishes of her relatives. Kamash will in the pasuk, Us tinach me'elasi, kisavay el mishpachti, v'em lo yitna lecha, that even if the kroivim don't want, you'll be free from the shua. In other words, don't think you'll only be free from the shua about if the woman doesn't want, but if the kroivim don't want, we don't care. Kamash Malon, that Avraham Avinu has to repeat it to tell me no. Even if the Isha wants to come, the kroivim don't want, you'll still be free from the shua if they're ma'akif. The woman doesn't want to go afterward. It says, "You already told me, and if they don't give her to you, why do you have to go ahead and say if you said already if they don't want to give it to you? It's there. Let's say the kroivim want. The woman doesn't want. I might think you're not free from the shua. Nicely, Bal Korcha, bring her against the will. Kamash Malon, that what? That against the will. No, it's got to be both willing. Both the Shainas Reb Chanina is not for Tnai Kafel, is to teach me you'll be free from the Shvua if either one doesn't want to come. If the Kraven don't want to let you free, and if the Isha doesn't want to come, you'll be free. Right? So all the brachas are going to happen to you. And therefore, and if you reject it, you're going to get the klalis. So you see a lashon mad of Tnai Kafel. Why do you have to go ahead and say we can hear, if we can infer, if you keep the Torah, you'll get gebenched. We can infer, if you don't keep the Torah, you'll be gestrafen. It's the neither one. This is similar to Kain's teretz. Kamash Malon, that one. No, Kamash Malon, not that it can be parif. You're going to get gestrafen. You're going to get punished. Wish everyone a great Shabbos.